With only 3 races remaining in the 1UP Superstar Series regular season, it's all on the line for our 41 drivers as they take on the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal for the running of the NAPA Auto Parts 200 here in Canada. Alongside me in the booth for today's race is James Ellison, as is normal for the road courses in the Superstar Series. And well, this one presents a unique challenge. It's half permanent circuit, half street circuit to an extent. So, in all honesty, there's not much to expect when you go into a race here at Montreal. It could be pretty calm with no passing, or it could be chaos incarnate. What do you think we're going to see out of this one?
It really depends on how aggressive the competitors feel like being, honestly. This is a very interesting course. And being right in the middle of the course, Montreal, Quebec, Canada, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
So now we can look at the starting lineup for today's 23-lap race at Montreal. And believe it or not, we said this last time, how crazy of a streak this has been. Our 18th race of the season yields our 18th different pole sitter, this time in the form of Roberto Crown Jr., getting his first career pole in the Superstar Series by about a tenth of a second over Henry Thomas, looking to snap a very long winless streak in that number 8 car, dating back at least 2 years. We've got Devin Fair starting 4th. He's on a massive hot streak at the moment. Lane Sanders looking to get his head above water in the playoff line picture, and many other stories throughout this field. There's so much to keep our eye on, I can barely keep track of it all.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be interesting, and I think you got to watch out for Roberto Crown Jr. Being on the pole. Sometimes on these road courses, all it takes is being pole top 10, and you could end up with a good day as long as bad luck doesn't strike.
So with that being said, the cars are lined up on the grid, and we're ready to bring you 23 laps of racing. From the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, this is the 1UP Superstar Series from Montreal, and the green flag is mere moments away. Stay tuned, folks. You're not going to want to miss a second of the heart-pounding action to come. As the field makes its way through the final chicane, past the Wall of Champions, heading on to the front straightaway here at Gilles Villeneuve, the green flag is in the flagman's hand. They file their way towards the starting stand, and the green flag is out. We're underway at Montreal, and it looks like Sam Donato's is going to make it 3 wide going into the first corner. That's a bit of a risky move, but further up front, Henry Thomas is getting a nose out on Roberto Crown Jr. He has the inside line through the second corner, and he's going to get out with the lead as they dive down into turn 3. A very good start from Henry Thomas in this 8, looking to snap a 2-year winless drought. Let's see if he can do it here, as Roberto Crown Jr. goes wide, hits the wall off of 4, and behind him there's a big stack up in the back. Lane Sanders, Sam Donato, and everybody else in the field getting piled in. This is one of the biggest wrecks I've ever seen in the Superstar Series, and they just keep piling in, one after the other after the other. The track is completely blocked at this point. There's one car upside down. A disastrous start to the race for half the field, many of whom have their hopes dashed early.
You see it right there. There's 34, I think that was, and so this couldn't have been worse off for some people. And we see what it's done for Henry Thomas. So he's just like, carry us behind me. I don't care. I'm taking off.
So as you can see, we have about 9 cars that made it through that unscathed, but everybody else, you see Lane Sanders, he started 5th in this race. He's got a lot of damage on that 41 car. He's able to continue in 10th place, but how much is that damage going to impact the rest of his race, and will he have to make a pit stop at the end of the first lap to try and fix some of it, or will he be able to continue on with a little bit of damage on the back end? He'll certainly have to repair it early on in this race, maybe on his first scheduled pit stop. He stays on the racetrack for the time being. So as we complete lap number 1, Henry Thomas has a pretty big lead, but as you can see, look at all the cars diving into the pit lane to retire from this race. Got Daniel Bouchard, Emma Carter, Jared Polanski, Blaine Saylor, Anderson Reed, Felix Anderson, Diego Yepes, and so they're pitting en masse here at Gilles Villeneuve to pull out of this race. A tragic start to this race for so many teams that were all looking for a good day. Let's get a look at this from high above. You can see Lane Sanders to the outside of Ben McDonald going into the 3 and 4 chicane. So he gets a little understeer and he just plows into the side, and from there it's just a huge stack up, nowhere for any of these guys to go. This is just one of the worst wrecks I have ever seen in Superstar competition. Look at all the cars piling in, one after the other, nowhere for any of these guys to go. You see Blair in the 19 had to come to a full stop just to avoid getting involved in this wreck. Look at all the cars wiped out in this one very early on. So here is Lane Sanders diving into the chicane alongside Ben McDonald. He gets a little understeer, hits the side of the 12, slides into the wall. San Donato hits him, Cale Tescar Jr. hits him, and everybody starts stacking up. You see Duke Anzac is the one that went on his roof, and the back half of the field all plows into this wreck. It's amazing, in a very bad way, how this race completely changed on a dime for half the field. But we've got at least 10 cars out of the race, maybe more. But as we focus back in on the live action, you can see Duke Anzac still working on his car in the pit lane. They might be trying to repair that thing, which is an impressive feat, all things considered. But as things stand right now, Henry Thomas is the leader of this race by quite some margin over Roberto Crown Jr. We're only 2.5 laps into this race, and we're already approaching lap traffic.
Yeah, that you wouldn't have expected that so soon, but given the chaos we just witnessed, oh my. Strap on your party hats, folks.
Yeah, Henry Thomas now diving towards the hairpin at the end of the long straight here. He's gonna he's looking to snap a very long winless streak. His last win came in 2020 at Pikes Peak. That was our 5th race ever for the Superstar Series. It's been a very long time since this 8 car has been the victory lane. But now we look down as they blast down the backstretch here in Montreal. You can see a lot of lap traffic up ahead. Cale Tescar Jr., the points leader going into this race. This is going to kill his chances of extending that points lead any, as his main competitor, Justin Hutchinson, is still running in the top 10 in 6th place.
Yeah, this is going to be a great day points-wise for Hutchinson. He could probably see the damage back end of that 0-2 Cale Tescar Jr., and he's got to be loving that he's got an opportunity to make up some points right now.
So, as things stand right now, Tescar will hold the points lead for the time being, but he's got to hope for more trouble ahead. Oh, and you see he makes contact there with Miles Mashburn, who's also a lap down. Tescar is just not in the best shape right now, and he can see the leader right behind him. There got to be blue flags coming for these guys because the leaders are coming, and Thomas wants these guys to get out of the way as soon as humanly possible because Roberto Crown Jr. is closing in at a very fast rate.
Yeah, this is not a situation you want to be in, even early in the race. Lap traffic when you're trying to take off the lead, and right now it's not looking too bad for Henry. And okay, on second thought, it's quite the challenge. Now Crown's closing in already with the 0-2 giving the 8 a hindrance.
And keep in mind, Tescar and Crown are teammates, so that might have been a little strategy play by the 0-2 to help the 81 get back into the fray. But as they make their way through the hairpin, they both lap the 0-2 once again, and now the top 2 can start to set off after the other 2 lap cars of Mashburn and Hayes as they blast down the back straightaway to complete lap number 4 here at Montreal. You can see a lot of cars didn't even get a chance to set a competitive lap in this race. A lot of them had to pull out of the race on the first lap after that insanely massive melee in turn 4. But just goes to show you, anything can happen on a narrow circuit like Gilles Villeneuve, and it reared its ugly head here today.
As you see now, Mashburn in the way again. We'll see what happens here. This is really as Crown just tried something, but couldn't make it work.
Yeah, Crown tried to go to the inside of Thomas, didn't quite make it stick because Thomas had the momentum by taking a wider line, like a karting line almost. But now you see them get oh so close to that turn 4 wall where everybody else piled into on the opening lap. It's amazing how a race can turn on a dime, barely even 20 seconds into the race. Something insane like that can happen. But we still got a lot of this race still to go, 19 laps of it to be precise, as Henry Thomas looking to snap the longest winless drought in one-up superstar history.
Yeah, this is going to be big for him, and it'd be even bigger for Roberto Crown Jr. because he's still pursuing victory himself. But I'm looking at the top 10 here, and I am impressed with Lane Sanders being able to stay, as of right now, 10th with the damaged car he has.
It's 10.5 seconds off the lead, but he's still there, as Devin Fair now makes a move to the inside of Roberto Crown Jr. Fair's been on an incredible hot streak, never finishing out of the top 6 during his tenure with Revolution Racing. And now Zachary Fitzwater right behind him, having a very solid outing himself in that 59 car, with Ben McDonnell now moving up into the top 5 to join his teammate Thomas. As a matter of fact, all 3 Venta Motorsports cars are in the top 10 right now. A very strong day for that organization, especially with their underdog driver Thomas leading the way.
Yeah, and right now he's not liking what he sees. The 72 and the 46 side by side in front of him. That's not what he wants to see, especially with both Crown and Fair coming after him.
Yeah, he really wants to put these lap cars away as soon as humanly possible, but going through the 3 and 4 chicane, it's not going to be easy. Oh, as Thomas runs really wide through the chicane, that allows Crown to close up at a rate of knots. Could he try and make a move going into the next chicane right here? Maybe not quite.
He was peeking. He's keeping Henry nervous. That's really all he wants to do right now if he can't make anything happen. He's trying to find a way by the 8 and also keep the 51 at bay, which right now, stretching out between the 2 of them, it's a little easier, but can't count out Fitzwater back there. He's hungry, even as he endures lap car PTSD once again.
And keep in mind, Roberto Crown Jr. does have some right side damage on that car after hitting the wall out of the turn 4 chicane. So he's got to nurse that a little bit on his way to try and get past Henry Thomas. They make their way through the hairpin on lap number 6. As it looks like Lane Sanders has finally pitted to assess the damage on that car. He has fallen out of the top 10 now. But back up front, Henry Thomas holds about a 0.7 of a second lead over Roberto Crown Jr. Devin Fair hot on their heels as well. Looks like Thomas is now finally going to get a move on. He's going to try and make a move on the 72. Not quite.
It looked like he was going to get there, but somehow the 72 is still just good enough, even when damaged, to continue to be a thorn in his side. It's got to be frustrating for Thomas right now.
Yeah, and they have the top 8 cars on the racetrack in the running order all stacked up behind these two, with Nelson Reeves in 9th closing in at a ridiculous rate as well. So you look at this train of cars forming right behind the 2 lappers here.
It's like a snake right now going through these corners and everything, just trying to figure out what to do here. It's just so frustrating for the whole top 8, soon to be top 9 if they don't watch out. It'll be the whole top 10 after them.
So right now, they're just having a tough time getting around these lappers because passing is very much a difficult task here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. But it's not impossible. We've seen it before as we now look at Lane Sanders, who did make some repair work on his first pit stop. We expect he'll have to come in a second time because I'm not sure if he can make it to the end from here. It'll be interesting to see, though, because regardless of where he finishes, he'll have a very strong performance as Crown moves to the inside of Thomas for the lead. Not quite.
Not quite, and Fair was really messing with there, so I think that might have had an influence, but man, this is really interesting to watch as this race goes on. As we see Yepes there a little ways ahead of the 2 that have really been causing problems for the leaders. He's just hoping he doesn't become part of that problem himself, I'm sure.
Yeah, so as they file their way through the final chicane, past the Wall of Champions, heading towards the start-finish line to complete lap number 7, Thomas's lead is now 0.6 of a second over Roberto Crown Jr. Remember, Crown, Fair, and Fitzwater all looking for their first career Superstar Series win. And you know all 3 of them would love to go take it away from Henry Thomas, who's looking to snap a very, very long winless streak in that number 8 machine.
Yeah, the pressure is on for somebody who was we got a problem with Fitzwater here. That's a little concerning. I think he just got off course a bit.
Yeah, it looks like he got into the wall a touch, and he loses 2 spots, it looks like. 1 to Ben McDonald and 1 to Jake McMillan. Knocked the 59 back to 6. He doesn't look like too much damage on the 59. He'll be able to continue in 6th place. It's still a good run for the 59. Maybe he can get those spots back, as Thomas trying to get around Mashburn, who takes to the grass to try and get around. So, looks like Thomas will get around the 72 here, as Fair and Crown go for second.
About time he's got to be thinking how to set sights on the next lap car and put as many between him and these two, especially now that Fair looks to clear Crown for second. Because he just wants to be able to take off and cruise.
Yeah, so Thomas now has a buffer car between himself and Devin Fair, who now moves up into second. You see, oh, it looks like we got a problem perhaps for the 12 of Ben McDonald. It looks like he was slowing quite a bit down the back straightaway. He might try and make a move for the pits. He's really in a bad position to do that. Going into the chicane, he hits Hutchinson, who goes for a ride, and Nick Ortiz into the wall of champions and out of this race. And Hutchinson noses it into the tires as well. Finish Line Motorsports just went from bad to worse for their drivers, as their 2 main contenders both knocked out of contention in one fell swoop. So you can see we're focused on Nick Ortiz, but it looks like McDonald is trying to get into the pits from the bottom lane. That just does not work. It's like he doesn't even see Hutchinson there, and Nick Ortiz just an innocent victim of this crash that sends both the Finish Line Motorsports Fords down the order. Nick Ortiz more than likely done for the day. Hutchinson may be able to continue, but regardless, now Finish Line Motorsports is in complete disarray after that wild wreck on lap number 8 that completely killed their hopes of a good day.
Speaking of 8, here comes the 8 going by the 76. He's finally putting some of the slap traffic behind him, and that's exactly what he needs. He just needs to make sure that he has everything right. He doesn't end up dealing with the same thing that Ortiz and Hutchinson dealt with. That is not what he needs. What he really is enjoying is seeing the 51 way behind him right now.
Yeah, the gap now is 2.6 seconds between he and Devin Fair. Fair took a lot longer getting around those lap cars than Thomas did. And Fitzwater, well, he never likes lap traffic, does Zachary Fitzwater, but especially not when he's in 3rd place at the moment, trying to get around 2 lap cars side by side on a road course where he's very good, but he just can't seem to find a way past, as was the case for most of these guys.
Yeah, that his mind is, he's got to be going nuts right now. Just telling the spotters, get the officials to get these guys off the track, something to get him to be able to keep him in contention to maybe steal this victory from Thomas or Fair.
He's got to make up 3.5 seconds to make that happen, as Devin Fair now moves up into the 2nd spot, 2.6 off the lead. Fair has had an incredible run of races as of late. Like I said, ever since joining Revolution Racing before the race in Portland, he has never finished out of the top 6. And with that momentum, he has now boosted himself into a playoff spot with 3 races remaining in the regular season, 2 after today. So Devin Fair looking to become the 3rd rookie to make the playoffs this season. That is just an incredible feat.
That is absolutely impressive, and you gotta expect that there's major success coming for him no matter what happens with the rest of this season. He's got promise for sure, as the 8 crosses the line once again, completing lap 10 here with a good gap.
And it looks like it's grown a little bit to almost 3 seconds between Thomas and Fair as they make their way through turn 2 right here. Through the Virage Senna, as they call it here. But as they dive towards the 3 and 4 chicane, Thomas and Fair separated by 3 seconds. The pit stops, I feel, will make a big difference, because the cars with damage are going to have to spend a lot of time repairing it in the pit lane, while the cars without damage might have to wait on the cars with damage to pull out just to get a safe exit out of their pits. So these might be a very long set of pit stops, no matter what condition your car is in.
It's going to be real interesting to watch, but we still got a little ways to go, obviously. So for right now, I think it's just a matter of hoping that this race has actually calmed down, at least for the time being, if not for the rest of the event. But it's hard to say.
So, as Devin Fair continues to try and track down Henry Thomas, who's about 3 seconds up the road, looking at this top 10, they're separated by about 19 seconds. You got a lot of surprises up here. You got Sam Donato, who's had a pretty strong run of races as of late, in 7th. Hometown hero Stephen Gale, who calls Canada his home, runs 8th. Echo Ross from Motor Dash Racing, running 9th. This could be her first career top 10 in the Superstar Series, running 9th. Christian Vargas rounds out the top 10 here, as it looks like Henry Thomas coming into the pits.
All right, there's pit cycle. There's Fair going in. Who's next? Fitzwater. I've got a feeling that most of them are going to come in here.
Most of, if not all of the leaders coming into the pits, as you see Hutchinson exiting his pit stall after some lengthy repairs. So, Thomas now pulls in. He's got the number 2 pit stall, because Roberto Crown Jr., by virtue of winning the pole, gets the number 1. And as you can see, right side tires going on for everybody around them. And you can see Sam Donato back there with damage. That's going to impact his pit stop. Oh, and we got contact between Roberto Crown Jr. and Henry Thomas. It looks like that might delay Thomas's exit, because now they got to pull that fender out.
Oh, man. That is super unfortunate. I don't know what to say to that. That's just...
It looks like actually everybody's getting repairs done on pit road. So this might not be as big of a penalty for Thomas as I initially thought. They're all just sitting there, making sure, A, that their car is packed full of fuel, and B, that they have all their damage buffed out. So Thomas finally exits the pits, with Devin Fair coming out now. And it looks like we've had another accident on track, this time involving Justin Henley and J.D. Martin, that have knocked both of their cars out of the race. It looks like Henley and Martin were running nose to tail. I think they were going to come into the pits. But again, Henley's in a really bad spot. He commits really late. Oh! So what happened was and my goodness, Jesse Johns hits J.D. Martin, sends him upside down. That knocked out 3/4 of the Henley Bemidji Racing team in one accident right there. So it looks like Henley's was committed to making his pit stop way too late. See, he already started to turn in for the chicane, and then he clips the fin into that wall. Very sharp impact. And then oh yeah, it's just a stack up from here. Brandon Beal and Blair in the 19, very lucky to not be involved in that as well. But you can see the smoke pouring out of the 44. You see Justin Henley into the pits, J.D. Martin out of the race. That's just an unfortunate break. And you can see, even after that incident, all of these cars parked on pit road, just trying to fix as much of that damage as they possibly can to try and have a clean race for the rest of the day.
And it's really unfortunate for others. And look at this! Look who we have. We have a shuffle in the leaderboard here.
Yes, Ben McDonald in the 12. Remember, he pitted earlier, and after causing that collision with Hutchinson and Ortiz, now McDonald is the leader of this race by 2.5 seconds over his teammate Henry Thomas and Devin Fair, who are now much closer together on the racetrack than they were previously. If McDonald has to pit again, which I imagine he will, that could be the battle for the win right there.
Yeah, and look at who's in 4th. Nelson Reeves got ahead of Fitzwater on the pit cycle. That's going to be a big thing for him, because he's had a bit of an up and down time these last couple of months or so, if my memory serves me correctly.
So now, and you see Devin Fair had to get out of the gas a little bit out of that chicane, trying to avoid hitting the 8. So that might send the 51 back a little bit. However, Ben McDonald now leads this race, looking for his 3rd win of the season here, as he's going to cycle around now. This is just going to be a very interesting race from here on out. Who can make sure that their car can last the whole distance on the fuel they have in that tank? I doubt Ben McDonald can, because he pitted much early. He pitted on lap 8 while everybody else came in on lap 11. So McDonald probably cannot make it to the end. We've said that already. However, Thomas, Fair, Reeves, and everybody else, honestly, should have enough to make it. So it'll be a battle for the win between Thomas and Fair. We'll see who wants it more.
Yeah, that's going to be big. And I'm looking at the top 10 here as you were talking, and some names in here you don't normally see in the top 10, even on most road course events so far. Like, the 35.
Stephen Gale, home race for him. He's running in the top 5, as a matter of fact. He got around Fitzwater to make that happen. So moved the 35 up into 5th place. That's a very good run for Stephen Gale. And like I said earlier, Eka Ross in the 39. This could be her first top 10 in the Superstar Series. She currently runs 7th, just ahead of Andres Molina, who, despite his massive amount of road course talent, we didn't see in the top 10 for the majority of the day. He's now popped up into 8th. Christian Vargas, the defending series champion, runs 9th, and Roberto Crown Jr. faded to 10th after a slow stop. But you're right, this top 10, full of surprises.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be even more interesting once the 12 pits, which we do expect it to happen, just a matter of when. But once the 12 pits, that's going to shake it up, and I have no idea who's in 11th right now that could really make somebody's day if it's an underdog, for sure.
So McDonald continues to lead the way, heading into the bus, or not into the bus stop, but we're thinking of Watkins Glen a few weeks ago. But we're heading into the final chicane of the track as McDonald powers down the front straightaway to lead this lap. And you can see a lot of cars pulling out of the pits to try and rejoin this race, Duke Ansack being among them. That is a big surprise, considering the last time we saw him in this race, he was upside down and parked in the middle of a parking lot full of cars in the Turn 4 chicane. But somehow, they've fixed that car up to a decent level. As a matter of fact, he might even get a top 20 out of this.
That is determination by that team. Anzac just does not want to give up. He had to have been giving them orders. Do this, do that. Got to get this car back out there. So to see him willing to continue on, it's going to save him a lot of problems as far as like finishing results go. So props to them for sure if they can make it to finish.
But right now the focus is on the battle for second, which will be the battle for the lead as soon as McDonald pits. So, Devin Fair had a little bit of an issue coming out of that chicane. He's going to lose a little bit of time to the 8. And as you can see, Sam Denoto holds the fastest lap. That's a bonus point for him. Not that it really matters. He's not looking to make the playoffs this year anyway. But still a very strong performance from that 00. I think he might be the car running 11th at the moment. But Ben McDonald currently holds a lead, and he's approaching the lap car of Blaine Saylor in the 64. That could really throw a wrench into their plans for the rest of the day, as McDonald stays out for another lap to complete lap number 15, closing in on the end here, coming to 8 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, this is really interesting to watch as McDonald continues to lead, trying to see how much longer he can go before he absolutely has to give it up and go in and let Thomas and Fair settle it out between them.
Because the thing is, if the longer McDonald stretches the second stint out, the less time he has to spend in the pits getting fuel. He can just take a splash and go rather than filling up the whole tank. So he probably can he wants to ride this out as long as humanly possible to try and make sure he only has to take as much fuel on the pit stop as he absolutely needs to.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big strategy play if he can do that, because looking at the gap from 1st to 10th right now, if all he has to worry about is a splash and go, he could still come out of this thing with the top 10, even if victory doesn't come into his hands.
So McDonald continues to lead. He's got a 2.4 second lead over this battle between Thomas and Fair. They run second and third, and then you have to go a long way back, 10 seconds, to find Nelson Reeves in 4th, running ahead of Stephen Gale, Zachary Fitzwater, and them in their battle for 4th spot. See, Andres Molina has gotten around Eka Ross to make the 7th position his own. Ross falls to 8th. Vargas and Crown round out the top 10 as things stand right now. But as things stand right now, it looks as though Thomas and Fair are actually closing in on this 12 car quite a bit.
Yeah, the longer he stays out, the more he's going to get run down by these two, because they're not fighting. They know that it would do much good to fight right now because they're running first and second. Once that 12 hits pit road, I'm sure it's going to be game on.
You're absolutely right, but you can see that red car off in the distance, Blaine Saylor. They're going to catch him probably sooner rather than later. I think what's going to happen is as soon as McDonald catches the 64, he's going to pull into pit road. Because what he does not want to do is be held up by the lap traffic any longer than he has to. So I think once McDonald catches Saylor, the next time they pass the pit entry, he's diving in.
That would be the smart thing to do. Either that or do it before you actually catch up to Saylor. That'd be a good strategy call, but it's hard to say what he's going to do.
So right now, Thomas has closed the gap by about 0.2 of a second. It's down to 2.2 now as they dive it off into this chicane right here. It's hard to keep track of how many of them there are on this track because most of the turns on this circuit are left-right or right-left chicanes, but this one very much is not. A very tight right-hand hairpin, but as things stand right now, Thomas and Fair battling hard for second, which will become the lead once McDonald hits pit road.
Yeah, we're getting ready to approach that point right now to see if he's actually going to do it. And it looks like Thomas is stretched out on Fair once again, but I suspect that 51 will be right on the 8's bumper here momentarily. So it's hard to say who's going to have the advantage here.
And here comes McDonald into the pits. So Ben McDonald pits from the lead to complete lap 17. That will cycle the lead back to Henry Thomas in this 8 car. We've got very little of this race left to run. 6 laps of it left to run here at Gilles Villeneuve. And as things stand right now, this is the battle for the lead between Henry Thomas and Devin Fair. One of them trying to get their first win in their career. The other looking to get their first in over 2 years.
And the scoring's not quite telling the tale just yet of how things are supposed to stand, but I'm not sure where McDonald's going to come out because we don't know if he's done a splash and go or not. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see as this battle is once again heating up here.
So Thomas leads this race. He's very close to his first win in a very long time, his second career win. And this track could not be any different from where he got his first back at Pikes Peak all those years ago. That was a tight mile oval. This is a very technical 2.5 mile road course. And to have success on both just goes to show you the level of talent behind the wheel at 8. It's been announced already that he will dip down to the Nitro National Series for next year, where he will refine his talents, hopefully make a return to the Superstar Series one day. But his time in the Superstar Series for the moment running out, so he'd love to get a win while he's still here.
Yeah, I'd say go out as close to the top as you can get. Don't just fade into the night. Just you gotta show that you still have it, even if you were committed to dropping down. Show that you got the talent and that you know you're going to be coming back one day to show them what more you can do.
And now we have 5 laps to go from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Henry Thomas holds about a 0.6 of a second lead over Devin Fair. This is going to be a very close battle for the rest of this race. The question is, can Devin Fair make up the difference and get around Henry Thomas at a track where it is very difficult to pass, but if you can, it'll be rewarding with your first career win.
And you see right there, yep, the 12 fell out of the top 10. But so he must have got full service. But this top 10 is still quite the mix-up here. You know, you got the 39 there. You got Echo Ross. She's knocking on the door of a top 5 if something happens to Fitzwater.
Which you never can count anything out here at Gilles Villeneuve. If Echo Ross can exit this race with a top 5, that will be wondrous for her. As you see Devin Fair kicking up a little dirt going through that chicane. He falls a little further back of Henry Thomas, but he's still got 4.5 very long laps here at Montreal to try and chase him back down. Looks like he almost made up the whole difference in one hairpin.
Yeah, that 51 is pretty stout. Just it seems like it doesn't matter what they do. They're fast, but Sailor up there, he's not been in the way yet, which I think is going to be a blessing if it can stay that way.
So coming now to 4 laps to go in this race. Henry Thomas passes the wall of champions where Nick Ortiz struck earlier in this race. Now it's a 1v1 fight between he and Devin Fair for this race win. 4 laps to go. Diving it off into the first corner. Fair is on the brakes a lot later. That could open the door for something big as Thomas takes a little wider line through that corner. Looks like he's going to keep the lead for the time being.
Yeah, I think Fair is just trying to bide his time a little bit. He wants to get by, but he also knows he's got to play it smart. He knows what kind of chaos this track can create, as we've already seen a couple different times today. And he doesn't want to create even just a small amount of chaos between the two of them right here.
Yeah, this is the ultimate showdown between Henry Thomas and Devin Fair. One looking for their first career win to establish themselves as a threat for wins and a championship. The other on his way out of the series, looking to score one last big win before he goes down to the junior division to try and rebuild his career. 2 very different storylines building in this race, but they've got the same goal in mind, ending the day in victory lane here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, same goal, but only one can achieve it. So it's just a matter of mano a mano. Who can do it? Who can get by? Who can hold on? And this is going to be exciting to watch.
We are now coming to 3 laps of racing to go. Next time they cross the line, the top 10 separated by 26 seconds. That is a big margin. So, and third place is almost 10 seconds back. So it's going to be a battle between these two and these two only, as it looks like the third and fourth on back are being held up by the lap car of Duke Ansack. Here's the battle for third going on right now. Nelson Reeves holds it for the moment. Stephen Gale trying to get there, and Duke Ansack, you can see the roof marks on that car. He has been through the ringer today. As Reeves runs wide, that could allow Gale to try and get the position with a broken rear end on that car. Almost every car in the field has something wrong with it, and they're still soldiering on.
You almost think we were at a short track with as much damage as some of these cars have, but too many lefts and rights for that. But yeah, this is gonna be a big night for for a number of drivers here, no matter what. And I still got to give props to Ansack here for soldiering on like this and putting in an effort to at least finish this race, despite being on his roof earlier.
Believe it or not, he is actually the first car 1 or more laps down in 16th place, despite being upside down at the beginning of lap 1 and spending a couple laps in the pits trying to repair it. He's 16th right now, 2 laps down, but still in the running for a top 20 finish. As you see the leaders now, Thomas and Fair coming to 2 laps of racing to go. Who wants it more?
Well, it's hard to say who wants it more. They both seem to want it equally, but it's a matter of who is the most determined to get it done that could decide this battle here as we come down to exactly 2 laps to go here.
And don't forget, they are catching Blaine Saylor, who is driving a car owned by Devin Fair. So that could play a factor as well. If the 64 wanted to, he could hold up the 8 just enough to allow Devin Fair to make the decisive pass. I'm not sure if that would sit very well with the officials, but it's a very well a possibility. As Fair makes a move down the inside into the 3 and 4 chicane, not quite, but man, that was close. He has shown the gloves are off with 2 laps to go.
Yep, like I said, the game's on. It's gonna be going here. It's go time, and just like you said, Saylor. If he could manage to do this and help Fair get that victory, I expect that there'll be a huge thank you coming his way for it. But we'll have to wait and see how this plays out.
1.5 laps to go now from Montreal. And Devin Fair trying again. Thomas runs a little wide for that chicane.
Oh my!
This could be the opportunity that Devin Fair has been looking for. Heading down into the hairpin. They are side by side for the lead. Devin Fair dives it off into the hairpin, but Henry Thomas sends it in a little too deep. That allows Fair to take the lead, heading onto the back straightaway, coming to the white flag.
Wow. I think that's the first time outside of pit stops that we've seen, and the strategy that McDonald played, that we've seen Thomas lose the lead. He's setting it up. He's got one more lap to get it done. He's trying right here, but it's hard to say what. Oh my, that I don't know, that was a pretty tough one. He's fighting for it though. He's trying to get it back.
White flag is out. We've got one more lap from Montreal. Devin Fair, this is his first lap led of the day. If he can hang on to win, he'll have only led the last 2 laps of this race, but those are the only ones you really need to lead. As he's trying to hold off a desperate Henry Thomas, trying to get the lead back, heading into the 3 and 4 chicane where it all went wrong for so many early in the race. They make it through cleanly though, heading down this straightaway for the final time.
And right now, all Sailor's got to worry about is making sure he doesn't cost Fair this lead, and he's wisely trying to move out of the way here, finally. Fair, all he's got to do is play it smart and hope that Sailor can hold up the 8, which it looks like now he's cruising away now, so that win is finally coming his way, it looks like.
There's still half a lap to go. Anything can still happen. But Devin Fair doing everything he possibly can to get that first career win. It's been coming for a long time, at least since he joined Revolution Racing, and maybe even before that. He had that great run at Bristol, driving his own car, but coming down the back straightaway for the final time, Devin Fair, who has been trying to become a third force in the Rookie of the Year battle this season between Cale Tescar Jr. and Mark Davey. Could Devin Fair be adding his name to that list of contenders for that award? He's going to come through this final chicane, and as long as it all goes right for him, he'll be celebrating at the end. Through the chicane, for the final time, it's going to be Devin Fair, at long last, getting that first career win in the 51, made so famous by Stephen Hunter. Devin Fair wins the NAPA Auto Parts 200 at Montreal for his first career win after so many tries. He gets it done here today. Henry Thomas, heartbreaking for Henry Thomas, 1.7 seconds back. Second place will do for him. Nelson Reeves, third, a great day for him. Stephen Gale, fourth. Fitzwater, fifth. Vargas, sixth. Echo Ross, her first career top 10, and seventh, ahead of Roberto Crone Jr., Jake McMillan, and Andres Molina, 10th. So that being said, from James Ellison and from myself as well, we've had an absolute blast from the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but no one, I think, is having a better day than Devin Fair, who, as he coasts around the racetrack for one last time, Devin Fair celebrating his first career win. We'll see you again next week at Darlington, but what a race we've had today.